All right, folks, and welcome back to Procreate. So in the last lessons, you should have now had the base layer for your cherry blossom. You should have had the shadow layer for your cherry blossom. And lastly, in the last video, we did the highlight layer. Now, just to recap, highlight layers, I was working in screen mode. You see the S. Shadow layers, I work in multiply mode. And the base layer, I work in a normal mode. And the important thing here, lock each layer when you are done with it. Now, I said there was going to be a couple groups, right? Let's go ahead and create 3 more layers. Okay? Now, you see the center portion of this particular cherry blossom? Now we have to make a group for those. So what I would do here, I would create 3 more layers. Swipe, swipe, swipe. Create a group. Now, how do you do that? With the triple there, the triple line. Let's rename the group. Let's call it center. All right, perfect. Now within the center, what are the 3 layers we're going to have? Rename base, rename shadow, and rename highlight. All right, perfect. We changed the highlight layer to a screen blend mode. We changed the shadow layer to a multiply blend mode. And we leave the base layer completely alone. Okay, so that's how you set up now for the second part of this. So what you're going to do now is, we're going to go ahead and come off that. We're going to shrink this down, move it over. All right. Let's take a look at our palette so far. Now notice over here along this top I've got all of these colors, right? Now this yellow here I want to click and I want to move it down because I'm going to put all of my center colors in a different row, right? So let's make sure that we're on the base layer for the center. And let's go ahead and lock the petal layer just for giggles. All right. And now, with the base layer selected, our yellow brush, let's go back to our paint brush. I'm going to use just the simple round brush. And we're going to go ahead and we're just going to paint a base. Okay, now if you get lost, here's a trick, because we've been locking all these layers. You can take your sketch layer, unlock it, and move it to the top if you want to. And now you get an idea to see what you were thinking, when you went through. So make sure we're on the base layer. Grab that again. Now, hopefully by now you got the idea that you've shaded out kind of what you were thinking there. All right. So let's go ahead and move that guy back down there. We're pretty good there. I think we're close enough for horseshoes and hand grenades. All right, move it back into place. And now you see where we've got that really nice where the yellow ends and then the other begins? We're going to work with that. All right. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my eraser tool and I'm just going to erase. Let's see what brush we have. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to go with a medium brush. Keep that down pretty low. And I'm just going to clip away some of this fine edge on it. Now, if you didn't want to paint it in, you could certainly do it differently. But you see here, I'm creating a little bit of texture with it by erasing out some of it. All right, let's see. I'm going to swap over to my soft airbrush. I'm going to ratchet that up just a little bit. And you see what I'm doing there? I'm just making it just a little bit kinder. All right, I think we're in pretty good shape there. All right, so we've got that. Now we want to go through and we want to make a shadow layer. Now, I tend to shade the yellows. You can go through and you can shade them with a little bit deeper type of yellow. Let's go ahead and do that, and I'll show you kind of what I'm thinking here. Let's go make sure we are on the shadow layer. Make sure it is set to multiply. And now let's go ahead and use our round brush because we want a little bit different texture here than we do in the petals. And we're going to want to keep the opacity down, though, pretty low with this. Okay. Now, we're just going to paint on top of here. And now, this stamen area here, this center, is kind of circular. Okay. And you see how we're shading one side of it much heavier than the other? We're setting ourselves up because it's kind of a circle. All right, that looks good. All right, so now we go to the highlight. Oh, we forgot to add it to our palette. There we go. And now we're going to come over here. We're going to go almost to the whites of the whites. And we're going to grab our round brush again. And now I'm going to go ahead and crank that down a little bit. Okay. Now, digital art kind of is a curse and a blessing at the same time. The good news is you can zoom in as far as you want. The bad news is you can zoom in as far as you want. Now I'm going to crank up the opacity for these last few here. So don't get too held up on making it perfect at this deeply magnified area. And we're just looking for some randomness here. I think we're in pretty good shape there. All right, let's go ahead and zoom that out. All right, and overall, I am pretty happy with that. Let's go ahead and take the next step, folks. See you in the next one.